Doug had no idea Jalen would be this good. Nobody did. And he's proven everyone wrong. I'm going to say it one more time, including Doug. Hour number 2. Please hit the like button. Thank you so much. Hey, in hour number 3, Jason Cole had a conversation with DeMaurice Smith, the head of the NFL Players Association and the executive director, on what the next procedures are going to be in the Tagovailoa case. This all starts from this past Sunday. So Jason will be with us in the third hour at 5:30, and we'll get his spin on that. And believe me, the NFL is not going to lose this. They'll shut the NFL Players Association up. They'll offer him something and bribe him, and they'll pay him off with something. That's what the owners do. Players Association's a joke show. I'm a member too still. It's a joke show. I'm looking out for that kid. Sue him for what? Sue your own employer? Great. All this talk about Dallas's D, everybody's saying it's top 5. Go check the stats. We lead them in every category except sacks. They got 13. We have 11. Well, we're going to find out in week 6, Flex. Everybody can toot their horn right now and who has the best defense. We're going to find that out in week 6. All that shit's going to come to a head on week 6. All of this great expectations for the Eagles is going to come to a head week 6. If you kill Dallas, then you're going to be a legitimate and without a doubt top contender in the NFC. If you go down in flames to Dallas, all the work you've done, there's still going to be people going out there like this. Got to beat Dallas. Beating the Cardinals? Great. Beating the Vikings? Good. Beating the Jags? Upstart team. The perception is everything in this sport, especially when you're media covers perception. Since when do they cover the facts? Isn't it crazy? You guys are, some of you people are so dumb they cover perception. Why do you think the Cowboys are the biggest brand on the planet? Because the perception is that this team is always in the mix, and it's brand. It's perception. It's not fact. They haven't done shit in 30 years. It's perception that the media covers. When you tune on Undisputed on FS1, it's like a week-long pregame show for the Cowboys. I don't see them talking, but maybe a couple segments about the team playing the best in the NFC, the Eagles. I mean, really. Since when do they cover facts? Shit, if you go over to the news side of how you cover something, it's total perception. Nobody cares any longer when you're covering the news about facts and integrity. Dude, don't you understand? Once you figure that out as a media person, that I cover perception. Let's call a spade a spade. Over the last 2 to 3 years, we've been rebuilding. And by the way, Flex, I'm shocked that it's here and what has happened since that 4-win Eagle team. They were the better team this year, week 6. I assure you the game won't be close. Okay, we're going to find out. That's great. You telling me here going into week 4. I love you. I love your passion. We'll find out week 6, though. Okay? We'll find out. We'll find out. Media says they get sick of covering Dallas. Greeny said so on Get Up. Dude, Dallas is I like covering teams. Look, you know why the Eagles are such a great cover for me right now and why I enjoy it? I enjoy talking to all of you. But at the end of the day, you know what else I enjoy? I enjoy winning. I don't really have a team I root for. Okay? I root for their fan. I mean, I like Bills Mafia people, folks. I love those guys too. They're very passionate about their fan base. They're very passionate about their Bills. They love that team like you love the Eagles. Okay? I love stuff like that. I love fans. To sit here and tell you that I'm an Eagle fan is a lie. It's a lie. And I can't lie to you. Go, oh, you know, some people come into a market and they go like this, oh, you know, but I love your fans. Okay? I love your fans. What Xander, I don't know what that is. What's the I did. Yes, I did. I saw it. I talked about flex. I got the flex. Chris, you are winners in Philly. I love your passion for your team, man. Okay? Stop with the Super Bowl talk. You're jinxing us. Sills like the Cowboys, Yankees, and Lakers. Right. That's Undisputed's hit list. Cowboys, Yankees, Lakers, LeBron. Jesus. It's nauseating. I'm going to get to week 4 here in a minute. Okay? What doubts do you have about the Bills? GT, they're secondary. They're secondary. CJ covering Christian Kirk, that's going to be an interesting thing to watch. Hey, that's a good one there. I like that, Richie. CJ covering Kirk. Kirk's a good player, man. He could play. After those comments, Sills, I had you all wrong. You've got a very objective view of this team, and I respect that. Hey, Deontay, I love what I'm seeing with your Eagles. Dude, hey, Xander, right? Guys, I promise you, I fell in love with the fans far before I fell in love with the team. And I'm not in love with the team. I'm not. Like you guys, I mean, it's great. Dude, the fans I do love. And the ones that give me shit are even better. You know? I mean, okay. Last 5 months, you've buried Hurts. Buried him? What, because hey, you know, GT, I got to say this to you. So GT goes, I've buried Hurts for the last 5 months. So did everyone else. Oh, except the Eagle fans. Right, I forgot. Except the Eagle fans. Sills, you think Jurgens will be ready by next? Oh, I think he's ready right now, Jesse. I think that kid could play this year. If you didn't have a Hall of Fame center playing right now, Jason Kelce would be on the bench. But because he's Hall of Fame, okay, because he's Hall of Fame, Jurgens is going to sit. And it's good for him because then you get a chance to watch the position and you get a chance to do the most important thing that a young player has to have. You know what that is? Learn a routine. And he's learning Jason Kelce's routine. Here's Flex. I told you a while back if Hurts was throwing for 300 yards a game. Well, he's not. 4 weeks into the season, we'd be undefeated. He's not throwing for 300 yards a game. That's not true. Dan, he's not throwing for 300 yards a game. He is 3 games and over 900 yards passing. 250. Oh, he is. He is over 300. Okay, you're wrong. I'm wrong. Excuse me. You guys are right. He's got 900 yards. That's right. He is throwing for over 300. Gotcha. Okay, I'm wrong. He's averaging over 300. Philly, thank you. Okay, he is. Yeah, because the first game was like 253 or 240, something like that. Then he came back. Then, yeah, you're right. You're right. That's right. Like 240 something in the first one. And then there's been over 300 yards. 305. Okay, 305.3. Look at Xander, man. He had to put down his cup of Kool-Aid, you know, to like put out the stats for me there. Wait. Hold on for a second here. 305.3. 0.3. That's the Kool-Aid. 916 total yards. 305.3. Super hater. Oh, I love it when you say that. Do you know how much excitement I get Dupree, when you called me a super hater. You have no idea. 9-0, Sills. I don't know. Here in Philly, Eagle fans would call local sports talk radio shows and rip Jalen Hurts, and now they try and rip hypocrites. Calvin nailed that. Please put Calvin on. Calvin is the one right there. Calvin, you're right. Get this. You know when I said that, hey, see right here? Let me tell you exactly now what's going on. So I said a comment yesterday, and people went nuts. Way to go, Calvin. Before I get to week 4 here. So I started out, and Xander, he even hated my open yesterday. You really think Doug Pederson thought that Jalen Hurts, when they drafted him, was a franchise quarterback? How many numerous times did they go out publicly so that they could make Jalen Hurts or Carson Wentz feel better? No, he was drafted here in Philly just as a security blanket in case something happened to Wentz, because Wentz started getting hurt. And so when the whole thing unraveled after the 4-win season, Doug didn't look at Jalen Hurts today. He looked at Jalen Hurts then as a backup, as a second rounder. He didn't see this like no one else did. He wasn't going to put his coaching career in the hands of Hurts. Hurts has shocked him too. So you tell everyone in Philly and everyone in the national media that Hurts was drafted as a security blanket. And then you're going to turn around and try to convince me that Doug wanted to coach a backup quarterback and put his faith in the hands of Jalen Hurts? That's bullshit. That's absolutely revising history. 99.9% of the people who saw the Hurts pick the year he was taken in the second round hated it. And now he's a savior? And everybody's like, wow, come on, man. Walk back into history. You know that's not true. You just got through dumping Wentz. And you were going to, with a 4-win team, put the hands or the team in the hands of Jalen Hurts, who you drafted as a backup. They said it themselves, not me. They said it themselves. I'll tell you the most surprised guy, in my opinion, on Jalen Hurts' progress, it might just be Doug Pederson. That just Nate Sudfeld got playing time in Doug's final game? Okay. Okay. Yeah, okay. The front office and all of that goes into the pick. All of that. That second round pick was Howie Roseman's, not Doug Pederson's. Howie runs the draft, not Doug. That was the big rub. Jalen Hurts is not Doug Pederson's guy. He's Howie Roseman's guy. That's why they went out and got a coach that could work with Jalen. Doug had no idea Jalen would be this good. Nobody did. And he's proven everyone wrong. I'm going to say it one more time, including Doug. Now, look, I will relent on this. I'm not saying that he wouldn't have coached him, but I'm saying that wouldn't have been his first choice. A backup quarterback who you went around the country and nationally saying, well, he was drafted in case Wentz gets hurt. How many numerous times did you say that? Shit, I remember 20. Just off the top. Doug liked the pick, though. Of course he did. Because the GM runs the team. If you don't like the GM's pick in Philly, you ain't the head coach. Oh, gee, really? And there goes back to Xander's point. He hated the front office. Of course. Right? It's not that. Hey, I'm going to say it one more time. Doug Pederson has to be shocked. But I would say this about Doug with Jalen. Probably, though, not surprised. Okay? Because you draft that kid, and when you talk to the kid, you see why you draft a kid. It's probably like, hey, well, okay. This guy's turned out to be. Okay? I'm not singing anything Tuesday. I'm picking the Eagles to win. Oh, no. That 2-4 thing, my friend, that doesn't carry over every week. No. It ain't happening. Okay? Xander, this what he do when Herbert lasted. Dude, got to be better here. Raiders to clinch a playoff spot, he said. Nothing but bash. Got to be a little bit more legible, dog, for me to read. I appreciate it, though, Flex. Just got to be a little better in there. Marcus, Doug was expecting Jalen to be more like Tyson Hill. I think so. Dude, he's clearly not that. Tyson Hill, they got him now at the halfback position. That was like I could not believe that Sean Payton drafted that guy and said that guy was going to be like a starting quarterback. He is so not. I didn't think he was that good when he was at BYU. Okay. Sills, you think Hurts would have been a thrower by being under Pederson? I don't really know how Doug would have coached him. That's what we said yesterday. Maybe Sirianni and Steichen, this is what the front office said. That, hey, look, we got Jalen here. Doug's not going to coach him right. And this was maybe the rub. Because after you got rid of Wentz, here, follow me. After you got rid of Wentz, Jalen was the next guy up. Okay? He was the next guy up. I don't give a shit what he did in his second game. Nobody on the planet, nobody last year saw it. Troy Aikman screaming at Jalen Hurts, throw it to the open guy. The entire ball game. You had a Hall of Fame quarterback calling out Jalen Hurts in the entire playoff game. The entire playoff game, he was calling him out. Everybody saw it and heard it. Throw it to him, he's open. Throw it to him, he's open. Throw it. That guy's gone. Hurts has evolved into something better now. He's not near that guy in that Buck game. It's credit to him and the coaching around him with Steichen and with Nick. Got to give it to him. I think you guys, we're talking about the same thing. He has opened everyone's eyes, okay, including the former head coach. One of the comments at the press conference that Doug Pederson said, actually, was Jalen just showing everybody right now, and he's proven all his naysayers wrong. Were you one, Doug? He threw that in. Troy Aikman laughed almost at Jalen Hurts in that Buck game. Okay? Sills, I grew up in Spring Hill, right next to Brooksville. Went to a school, 4 bad kids. In the mid-'90s, Jerome's brother Calvin was my teacher. He was so cool. Had a strong bond because I'm from Philly. Elijah, cool, man. Good for you, man. Good for you. Good for you. Yale, right? Hey, Yale. Yale, do you agree with me that Jalen Hurts has probably stunned Doug Pederson and how he's played? S. Blunt, Jalen was considered a stopgap until they drafted another quarterback. Exactly what we were saying last year. Now everybody in the Philly media is drinking this Kool-Aid stuff, revising history. This guy was drafted to be the next guy. He was not. He was a stopgap guy. Why do you think we're still having some conversation if the Eagles are going to take a quarterback in the 2023 draft. Why do you think Howie made that move with the Saints? What, to draft a DB? Come on, man. This thing's evolving into something great for them. Hey, this could be, in Philadelphia, the Jalen Hurts story. This could be a story like Tom Brady. You know, everyone's always like this. How about this? You really think the Patriots knew they had the greatest quarterback of all time? If they did, why'd they pass on him 5 times? They drafted Brady in the 6th round. They passed on him 5 times. Drafted other dudes, stiffs. And there's Brady in the 6th. And we drafted him. Yeah, I'm sure everyone thought in New England and around the country. But just like you did, you knew that Jalen, the day he was drafted, when everybody in Philly was shitting on the pick. Now, all of a sudden, he was picked to be the next guy. No, he was not. That's such a lie. And Doug wanted no part of it, too. Because just like Xander said, he had problems with the front office. Hard work beats talent when talent fails to work. Flex, spectacular take. Spectacular take. I've seen some of the most talented quarterbacks fail to win playoff games, let alone Super Bowls. Flex, to your point, Aaron Rodgers is more talented than Tom Brady. But Tom Brady, he has evolved into that player with his hard work, and he's a great teammate. This is why I say the characteristics that Jalen has are Tom Brady-ish. He doesn't have the talent. It's not the same style. They're different, but their approach is the same. If Jalen has to throw for 330 yards, he will. If he has to throw for 153 yards or run for 153, he will. If Brady has to throw for 350 yards, he will. If he has to throw for 100 yards, he will. It's about winning. The Detroit game showed me that. Okay? The Detroit game showed me that. Marino was more talented than any of them. He couldn't win the big one. JM, I'll tell you exactly the story that many of you don't know. I'll tell you flat out why Dan Marino didn't win. He was a horrible, horrible person to coach. And here's why. When Jimmy Johnson got the job and he tried to instill a running game in Miami, Dan didn't want any part of it. He didn't want to develop. You ever notice I think they only had 1,000-yard rusher in his entire 17 years there? And by the way, his name was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He was UCLA running back. His entire 17 years. And by the way, Dan Marino is not the most accomplished quarterback in the history of the Dolphins. He's not. You know who the guy is? It's Bob Greasy. Greasy couldn't throw a football 40 yards, but he did win 4 or 3 AFC championships all in a row. He did win 2 Super Bowls in a row, and one of those teams was undefeated. I don't know. Is there anything Dan Marino did that was more accomplished than that? And you were doing it in an era with the Raiders and the Steelers in the AFC. Come on, man. Bob Greasy was more accomplished. I used to have this argument down in South Florida with people. Dan Marino only has records, and those records are gone now. Records in sports, especially the NFL, are fleeting. They're fleeting. Okay? They're totally fleeting. And so get this, Jimmy wanted to trade Dan Marino to Pittsburgh. Wanted to do him a solid. Send him back. Get draft picks. Guess who Jimmy was trying to call out of retirement? Troy Aikman. Google it. Aikman said he almost came back to play with the Dolphins because Jimmy was going to bring Troy back when he was in Miami. That's a fact. And then get this, Wayne Huizenga, the former owner of the Dolphins, because Dan sold tickets, and that's a tough ticket when you move that thing out of the Orange Bowl and you move that thing up to Winter Garden. People didn't go to that game. They still don't go to that thing. See how many empty seats there are all the time for Dolphin games, let alone Hurricane games. And get this, they ex-nayed the deal. Jimmy wanted to trade him. He was trying to get a Herschel Walker type deal for him. And the Steelers wanted to do it. Flex says he may have been drafted to be the franchise quarterback, but he put the work in. He may not have been. No one's saying that. That's my point, Flex. Flex, that's my point. Even Doug knew that. Nobody saw. Hey, are you trying to tell me you think everyone saw what Brady was immediately? You know who the only guy was? Was Belichick. Bill was the only guy, even after Bledsoe won that playoff game against Pittsburgh. He said, no, I'm going with the young kid. Okay? Sills, how can we get you to sing, man? What? I'm not doing it right now. What are you talking about? I'm not doing that right now. I'm picking you to win. Lindsay, thank you so much. I appreciate that. That's really cool of you. Thank you. Hey, I said this yesterday, and I know some of you didn't want to hear it. I have great respect for Doug Pederson. I'm going to tell you one more time, guys. Okay? I think Sirianni's the right coach for Jalen. This man, Sills, recently believes in Hurts. Let us find out, bro. I think he's getting there. I think he's getting there. I'm getting there too. Okay? I'm getting there. Let me get there. Don't rush me there. I'll get there. I know you guys love Doug. He brought you one of the greatest moments of all time. Okay? I know this. See, Doug's going to bring out things that remind you of great times. That's why we watch our favorite movies over and over or listen to our favorite songs over and over again, because it puts us in great spirits and reminds us of great times. When you see Doug Pederson walk through the tunnel at Lincoln Financial on Sunday, it's going to remind you of great times. Everyone loves to be in that moment and to feel the great times. Like I said, we watch our favorite movies, listen to our favorite songs, because they remind us of wonderful things in our life. That's why we watch the same movie over and over again, and we listen to the same songs we love. Doug will remind you of that. He'll remind you of a moment in your city's history that only one man was able to help bring with those fabulous players. That is why you revere the man. That's why Nick Foles will never have to buy a meal in Philly ever again, let alone pay for a cab. That's why when you see somebody like Dr. J, or you see somebody like Mike Schmidt, or you see Bobby Clark, those guys, Bernie Perrant, those guys get free meals and free passes. Chris Long, who was on with Sports Take Guys, he's another one of those dudes. Those people get lifetime passes. And that's one of the things you get when you deliver the goods like Doug. Doug could have the biggest failures anywhere on the planet, but he'll always be remembered for 17. Hey, lightning in a bottle? I don't know if you want to tell Tom Brady that, because they beat the shit out of that team. Okay? They beat the Patriots. There's games when you get beat by field goals. They beat that Pats team up, man. Okay? John, you're great in your analysis of the game and stories. Thank you so much, John. That's awesome. Dr. J, a hater too. Spoken like a true Philly guy. Hey, you know what, though? I would say this to you. I don't know. Does he consider himself a Sixer or a Net? Dr. J, man, when I was a young kid, I hated the Knicks, okay? And now I hate them worse because of James Dolan. But I love the Nets because Julius Erving was on that team. And that big afro he had and that red, white, and blue ball, when I was a young kid, I watched ABA games all the time. And Dr. J was a freak show when he was with the Nets, man. Man, I loved watching Dr. J. And when he went to the Sixers, he cut the thing off. And, he wasn't like, it didn't seem like the same. He did win an MVP there. But, man, Julius Erving, man. And I got the chance to be friends with him when my show was on in Orlando. And I was based in Orlando for a little bit. And he was an executive for the Magic for a while. Pat Williams brought him in, put him in an executive role. And I got a chance to go talk to Dr. J, man. The biggest hands you've ever seen in your life. Dude, he's the only guy I've ever seen. Get this, guys. He's the only guy I've ever seen that can go like this and have his fingers go all the way around a basketball. That shows you how big his hands are. Dude, Julius Erving was the shit, man. Rucker Park, been down there numerous times. Okay? I love it, man. Dude, Julius Erving, man, one of my childhood idols, man. Him and Tom Seaver and them dudes. Oh, God, man, I love Julius Erving. Sills, what matters more, multiple rings with average talent or no rings with a reputation for – that's a great – Elijah, would you rather have rings or records is basically what you're saying there. I love that. That's a great take, Elijah. Would you rather have records or rings? Remember this. Like I said, records are fleeting. Man, we just saw one broken, or soon to be broken, the Maris record. I mean, I got to think that Roger Maris, let's see, won a title in 60. No, they lost to the Pirates in 60. 61, 62, Maris was on those teams. Then Maris got traded to the Cardinals in the 66 season. He was on that 67 Cardinals team. Roger Maris has 3 World Series rings. Do you think Roger Maris would rather have – do you think he'd rather have the 3 rings or now the soon-to-be past record that he held for 60 years? What do you think he'd rather have? The 2 Yankee and Cardinal titles? Or do you think he'd rather have a record that's now going to be passed? Okay? Xander says, good point. Nobody knows Greasy. Everyone knows Marino. Right. Dan Marino has all the passing records and has all the accolades on what people saw him and how great he was. He was. Bob Greasy, a guy who threw the ball maybe 18 times a game? Maybe? Won 3 straight AFC titles. You know, there's only one other team that has won 3 straight AFC titles. That's the Bills. But this team won 2 Super Bowls in a row, and one was undefeated. What's the greatest era of football again in a short span? Steelers won 4 and 6. They won 3 straight AFC titles, 2 straight Super Bowls, and one team was undefeated. And the quarterback was not Dan Marino. It was Bob Greasy. That team is revered because you know why? It's the only undefeated team in the history of the National Football League. And they only look – that team's greater than the 85 Bears because you know why? They actually won more. Doesn't Xander always say? Chips got to matter. The chips got to matter, doesn't it? Well, they got 2 of them and 3 AFC titles. I don't know. Okay, I don't know. The defense won those titles. Well, Zonka was the MVP in one of them. Jake Scott was the MVP in another. And I'm trying to think who. Now, let's see. Greasy didn't win it, but Zonka won it in the Vikings Super Bowl. And Jake Scott won it with the Redskins Super Bowl in Los Angeles. So they kind of split it. No Name was good. One of my dearest friends, Manny Fernandez, was on that team, and I love the guy. Absolutely. Hey, strive for both. Yeah, how many people win both? Brady? Okay. Mercury Morse didn't win an MVP. The two MVPs on those Dolphin teams were Jake Scott, a defensive safety, and Larry Zonka. Those were the two. Perfect season was the defense. I would say you're correct, JM, because Greasy got hurt and Morrill came in. And he took, Earl Morrill was a former offensive coach with the University of Miami. That's how I know Earl Morrill. And my grandpa said that he was a really great player. So when he was an assistant coach down at the University of Miami, I had no idea that he was the 1968 NFL MVP with the Colts. And that's the guy that Namath beat in the Super Bowl, in Super Bowl III. I had no idea. I'm standing there in practice one time. You guys are going to love this. I'm standing in practice at the University of Miami. And I'm sitting there, and Earl Morrill's giving me a bunch of heck about something, right? I'm sitting there going, yeah, okay, this old man, Somebody comes over to me. It may have been Jerome. Hey, that guy's a former NFL MVP. I'm like, what? He's like, this guy's a former NFL MVP. Earl Morrill looked over at me, goes, who are you again? I was like, get the hell out of here. He goes, that Orange Bowl you play in? I got beat by Namath in that game at the Orange Bowl. And I'm like, dude, you should have seen my jaw. It hit the floor. I was like, what? This guy was the MVP? Oh, man. He did play with Unitas. Yeah, man. I was like, yeah, unbelievable. All right, I got to take a timeout. I want to get to week 4. By the way, Jason Cole has talked to DeMaurice Smith, the executive director of the National Football Players Association. And this whole thing with Tua last night was a train wreck with the Dolphins, the league, the Players Association. This thing happened, I think, on Sunday, what you saw last night. So Jason will be with us 5:30 Eastern time. Plus, we'll take a look at the matchup with the Jags and also the Eagles. But I want to get to week 4 here. Please hit the like button. Guys, do me a favor. If you are hurt or injured, and you're hurt or injured on the job, Morgan & Morgan is your place. These are people that have protected clients for the last 30 years to the tune of $13.5 billion. They make sure they represent you. There's no case too small, too big. They'll never be intimidated. The biggest law firm in the country. These guys go at it, and they'll never say this. Well, it's a fender bender. They protect everybody and serve everybody. With over 800 attorneys and offices in Philly, New York, and in Florida, nobody's bigger, and nobody will fight harder for you. Call them at 800-512-1600. That's 800-512-1600. The call is free. The consultation's free. And when you call Morgan & Morgan, do me a favor. Tell them Dan Sileo sent you.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. When you're hit from behind in a car crash, the insurance company may try to say, you can't possibly be hurt. It was only a few miles an hour. It's simply not true. You see, here's the thing. Getting hit at 10 miles per hour is like falling off of this. 15 miles per hour, like this. And only 25 miles per hour, this. Injured, dial pound law. There's only one Morgan & Morgan.